And for the bottom line on the president, the policeman, and the professor, we turn to our chief Washington correspondent and host of This Week, George Stephanopoulos. Good morning, George.
Hey, Jake.
George, I do wonder if there's a disconnect here between the president's desire to move on from this incident and his stated desire to have this become a teachable moment. Where do you think the story goes from here?
I think there could be. I mean, and I think that the White House is struggling with how to deal with that right now and when to deal with it. There's no question they want this individual incident and all the details, all the kind of messy details involved to go away, and they want to get the national focus back on health care right now. But I think they understand that this is something that stirs up a lot of passion in the country. I think they're going to support those efforts up in Cambridge to get the community together up there and maybe support a series of community forums around the country. What is still an open question, Jake, is how much to bring this into the White House, what kind of leadership to show there, whether to really create some kind of a forum in the White House or let things bubble up first around the country.
How do you think the word stupidly ended up in the president's remarks that night?
You know, I don't know. You were there. I was watching on television. It really seemed to me like the president let his guard down, that he thought the press conference was over. In fact, he had miscalled one reporter, and then he ended up having to take the extra questions. So that's number one. So psychologically, his guard is down. Then number two, he tells that joke about getting into the White House and getting shot if he tried to break in to the White House. Everybody laughs. He's feeling pretty good. I think he loosened up just a little bit too much. I also think, and I think White House aides agree with this, but for that one word, we wouldn't be talking about this today.
I think that's right. Before the Gates comment, the president was trying to push health care reform that was pushed to have the House and Senate pass legislation before the August recess. Now appears to have failed. Where do you think health care reform goes?
Well, that is the big question for the White House, really for the country right now. All hopes now in the White House are focused on the Senate Finance Committee, the last place where there are some bipartisan negotiations going on. As you said, the Senate is not going to pass anything before September. The House is saying they still hold that open, but that's unlikely as well. The White House hope is that if there can be some sort of a bipartisan agreement on the Senate Finance Committee, they can use that as the vehicle for negotiations going forward. But there's a big dilemma there as well, Jake. For the Republicans negotiating on that committee, whatever they come up with is going to be the bottom line. Yet a lot of Democrats watching those negotiations say that's just the starting point that we've got to improve on as this goes into the House and the conference committee. So there are a lot of tough negotiations ahead. And the hope still, of course, is that this all gets done by the end of the year.